like, that's not what I want to do. Like, I wouldn't do it this way. This isn't how I would do whatever.
X, Y, and Z.
X, Y, and Z. Yeah, exactly. Like, I would rather be someone who's going to motivate somebody else to put their best foot forward. And that's the whole point of the strength-based thing, the strength-based test, and using your strengths in an organization is because they want you, well, at least my organization wants us to use everything. They want to utilize our strengths because, well, here's the thing. Win, 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 right? They want us to feel important so they don't lose us, because I also work in a nonprofit, and if anybody knows what that means, it means no money.
Yeah.
How do nonprofits even stay in business? Like, how do you get paid?
Fundraising.
Do you get paid for your work, or are you just like
Yeah.
volunteering?
Oh,
your time?
no, I'm not volunteering.
So, like, you're not a nonprofit. You work at a
Yeah, of
nonprofit.
course. Yeah, so a nonprofit essentially is an organization that doesn't make a profit. And what they do is just they filter the money back into the services that they're giving. There is overhead. We could go days and days about how the structure is kind of flawed.
So it's like money laundering.
No. No.
I mean,
It's supposed to go back into the community.
Right.
Right, and
So
the
like-
services
so
that you're
like
getting.
how a mobster will make all this money and then
Of
like
course.
buy turkeys for everybody for their in the neighborhood. for
Perfect. Yes, if
Thanksgiving.
you want. Yes, if the mob
Boom.
did their 501c3 nonprofit paperwork. Yes, exactly.
First of all, they don't do paperwork. You don't leave a paper trail, right? That's the first rule.
You got to have a little bit to launder money, though.
No, you just need the machines.
they don't actually put money
And
in a laundry
good,
mat.
A good
Like,
detergent. You need a good
Oh
detergent.
gosh.
you don't,
A dye protecting.
dude. We need
detergent.
this guy right here needs to watch the Ozarks.
This guy. Oh man, that was a good first season.
Yeah, it was an amazing show.
Yeah, I haven't really delved deep into the second season. I don't know, but yeah, you should watch Ozarks. That's pretty good.
That's that show with Jason Bateman.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah.
Mhm. Yeah.
Man, I
Boom.
kinda
So-
want out.
Nailed it. Personal growth.
That's gonna be Eric's new catchphrase.
It's just
Personal
gonna
growth.
keep. You're just gonna walk down the street and be like, "Look what I did! Personal growth."
I've already been doing that.
Have you?
Yep.
Nice.
Like the other day, I saw this kid. I just looked at him and I said, "Personal growth," and then I ran away.
Was it your kid?
No, it wasn't my kid. He does that on his own.
Yeah.
He knows all about personal growth already because my boy's a genius. But that's besides the point. We're here to talk about Will Smith and Erin Riley.
Yeah.
Will Smith and
Did
Aaron
you know?
Riley.
Oh,
That
hey,
sounds
you
good,
want to
pretty
know something fun? Fun fact:
good. Absolutely.
we share the same birthday, Will Smith and I.
Really?
No
Yeah.
shit.
Yeah.
Get right out of town.
Yeah, I know.
You and the Fresh Prince.
Get out on that horse you rode in on.
Yeah.
I have no idea.
Get out.
You know.
Get out on that horse you rode in on.
What the hell am I talking
I don't
about?
I don't
know.
know, but you keep it up. I'm going to butter your necktie.
I'm not trying to butter my own tie.
I don't know what that means. And anyway,
You mean you haven't been listening to the podcast?
sorry.
Wow. Wow. All right. I think we
She's
need
got
to,
real shit to do in her life.
producer, turn her down, turn you up.
All right.
Let's switch this around.
You know, that's usually what happens with guests on podcasts. Sometimes they're like, "Oh yeah, totally." So what's this? What's this about? I think you said personal growth, so that's what we're talking about, right? What episode is this?
It's number 4. I
Yeah.
think,
Well,
right?
there we
Oh,
go.
shoot, yeah.
Oh,
Episode
man.
4.
I got 3 to catch up on after this.
Yeah, you do. You go do some homework.
Here's the thing. I
What if-
really enjoy listening to personal growth. There is I hate, okay, maybe I shouldn't say this because
ahead,
sometimes
please.
people on podcasts don't like to talk about other podcasts.
Talk about it.
The most insightful podcast that I have listened to lately,
Is the Personal Growth Podcast with Perza and Cole?
yes, besides this podcast, is Why Won't You Date Me?
Oh, God.
you
Erin.
shared that with me, right?
Yeah.
I haven't
No,
checked it out
totally.
yet.
I have learned quite a bit. I'm like, oh
The answer to
yeah,
that-
I
the
do
answer to
have
that question-
abandonment issues. Thank you,
The answer
Nicole
to that question
Byer.
is that's you answer your own question when you say I listen to the podcast. Why won't you date me? Like that's the answer to the question.
I mean,
why
there's a
won't you date
lot
me?
of reasons why people don't date me. Like putting up things about the fact that I was on another podcast, an ex listened to it, then apologized for our past, and then I put it on Facebook. That's probably why people don't want to date me.
Well,
I'm very
yeah,
open
if
about
you're gonna-
shit.
If you're gonna use everything for material,
I do. Yeah, I had a horrible date, which turns out works real well on stage. So,
Did you say day or date?
date
Okay.
and day.
Yeah, I'd imagine. Hard to
It's
date.
hard to be a lady dating in their 30s in Idaho. I'll just put that out there. It's kind of hard.
I'd imagine that might be hard anywhere.
I would say there's a whole podcast called Why Won't You Date Me?
Yeah.
And it touches on that. But-
gentlemen, if you're interested in Aaron Riley, send us a message at personalgrowthpodcast@gmail.com.
I tried that on another podcast, and no one ever took the bait. It was like they didn't like listening to me.
Another.
Why? I don't know.
I don't know if I'd want anybody hitting me up to date me because they
On
heard
a
me on a podcast.
Well, is it any different than Tinder or Hinge or now Facebook dating? I had a
Wait,
coworker.
Facebook dating?
Yeah, I
Yeah,
had a coworker
you know,
who's
that's
like,
the
go
thing.
on Facebook and
Is there
just
a
go.
separate app?
It's part of Facebook now.
You can't. You elect into it. It's not like Facebook just says, okay, now you're on it because you're single.
No.
You can elect into it, and
Like
so
you swipe left and right. and
uh-huh.
shit?
Yeah,
That's what I hear.
it's. Is that what you hear?
Yeah, I haven't used it.
Sure. Okay.
I haven't because I
Uh-huh.
don't care. Like I'm single, but like I'm not trying to not be single. You know what I mean? Like so I don't give
Yeah,
a shit.
for sure.
I don't care. I'm not getting on dating sites because it's fucking stupid. It's a good way for me to feel really terrible about myself.
Yeah,
really
absolutely.
quickly.
Yeah,
Like,
for sure.
nobody's swiping.
Yeah.
Meh.
Well, and that's how I was at first, too. And then all of a sudden I was like, ooh, I'm feeling real confident because I've had a lot of personal growth lately.
Uh-huh.
I'm
Personal
feeling
growth?
really good about myself. I get on there, I go on a date, and then I'm like, this is garbage. This is garbage and why I don't do this. And then I deleted it quickly.
Because men are garbage.
Well, kind of.
Generally.
Human beings.
Yeah.
Let's not get gender
No,
specific.
yeah, you're right. I mean, there are
That's
some
fair.
pretty garbage human beings out
That's
there.
fair. Let's
And
not
for
gender
some
shame.
reason, I am attracted to them, all of them on Tinder.
You're
course you
attracted
are.
to the garbage people on Tinder?
Yep.
Of course you are.
Right. But here's the thing.
Just for those of you out there in podcast land who can't actually see what we're doing, I said that and Dwayne just gave me a look like, why would you say something
Right.
like that to her?
Because we're being real.
And,
And I know
look,
Eric.
you brought me on this thing to be the comic relief, my
Right.
man. So
I appreciate it. I
You know,
really do.
this
And I
is-
do understand Eric's.
Comic relief, not
Eric.
comic asshole.
I don't
but
care.
sometimes the two are intertwined.
Yeah,
Fair,
for sure.
fair.
It's hard to separate the two sometimes.
I think the thing is that, like, I wrote that. Can I tell you something? When I was like, I really want to be sleeping right now, but this thought popped up into my head.
Please do.
And I was like, I'm going to write this down. This is kind of my whole personal growth philosophy lately. Because I feel like my biggest thing is actually learning to love myself and everything. And I do want to be in a relationship eventually.
Well, like Joey McIntyre says, if you learn to love yourself, you'll be better off by far.
Yeah.
And I hope
that in a
you
song?
always stay
Okay, that's in a song.
the same.
Yeah. I don't know
Is
that
that
song.
a copyright issue? Producer, can I say,
Maybe.
I'm not allowed to sing that song? All right. What if it's a parody? If it's a parody, I can do it.
Whose song are you talking about right now?
Joey McIntyre, Stay the Same. He's a member of New Kids on the Block, and in the late 90s, he put out a solo album.
Pop
And this
culture,
is a
man.
person who's now also making fun of me for listening to a podcast called Why
Whatever.
Don't You Date
Whatever.
Me? But
I
yet
will
he is
say,
quoting a
because
very
I will say-
older song.
I will say with complete confidence and no shame that I spent money to see New Kids on the Block live
That's
in concert.
cool. I mean, that's great.
And it was
I
fucking
totally
dope.
understand. Yeah.
Oh God,
Hella.
guys! If
Yeah, I
you
bet.
want some personal growth in your lives, if you get a chance to see New Kids
Self
on
care.
the Block
Take
live,
yourself on a date and go see them.
do it. They put on
Yeah.
an amazing show.
Yeah.
Like just phenomenal.
Right.
I have
Absolutely
no
worth the
idea
price
what's
of
happening
admission.
right now.
I get
never
what, I
know
get the
what's
train.
happening.
I get the train of thought you're going on there.
I like the
For
quote.
sure.
Say it again.
If you learn to love yourself, you'll be better off by far.
For sure.
Did
And
he
I think
say
that's
that
like-
in a song?
In the song.
Okay.
Yeah. The song itself is a little problematic because it's about how, like, the song is called Stay the Same. So the essential message behind the song is, like, don't ever change. And that seems counterproductive to what we're trying to do here on the Personal Growth Podcast.
For sure.
Right.
I mean, it was the late 90s, the mid to late 90s. It's a different time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, it was the lyrics are a little
Dated.
problematic.
A little dated. Yeah.
Huh. You were saying.
Yeah, let me this was my sleep deprived 6:30 in the morning thought. We'll see if it translates well or if it's just not great. I said my whole personal growth journey is learning to love myself, not so that I won't make a mistake, but that I can use the tools to keep loving myself when I do make the mistake, because you're always going to make a mistake. So I think my whole
my mind butter.
oh yeah. So my whole personal growth is like I'm constantly going to make mistakes all the time.
Yeah.
But and I'm probably going to keep doing patterns for a while, but that's the whole reason why I'm trying to grow and go to therapy and do all this stuff and learn about myself and love myself, so that when I do make that mistake, I catch it quickly and then I don't beat myself up forever about it, and then we'll just move on.
Yeah.
Whether or not that's working quite well, I don't know. I'm working on it. Working on it right now. So,
Well, just like having the awareness of what you're looking for is helpful.
Right.
I think
Right.
a lot of people are like going through life on autopilot. You know,
right.
like they're just going through the motions day in and day out.
Yeah.
But when, like Eric and I talked about this a couple weeks ago about like taking personal inventory, like having like if our life was a business, you would take inventory of the products and the things and the money and all that stuff. Why not do that same thing with our lives?
Right.
So
That's what
like you're ahead of the curve, I think. Compared, not that we need to compare anything, but
Yeah.
We do. We need to compare everything all the
everything,
time.
everybody, we're going to compare each other. No. Well, I mean,
it's comparing yourself
yeah.
from
To yourself.
Yeah.
Right.
Like, be better today than you were yesterday.
Yeah.
Boom.
Absolutely.
Personal growth.
Absolutely. And I think the thing is that, like, I wish I had learned this much younger.
Absolutely.
For sure.
Yep.
I wish it hadn't taken this long, but I guess I've been really trying not to look back and be like, well, why didn't I do this? And why I couldn't do that? I've done that for so many years. And I'm like, maybe I should change my thought pattern, because that's not really getting me anywhere except for a lot of sadness.
Right. Beating yourself
And beating
up.
myself up, yeah, for sure. Beating myself up. And so, you know, and I suffer with a mental illness. I don't know. What are we calling it these days?
Default?
No, not a default, but a mental. I mean, I will have to be on medicine for the rest of my life. It's just my brain's wired differently. But
that's a mental illness.
it's a mental
Why
illness,
not?
yeah.
There's no stigma.
I know, that's why I'm like,
let's
is
get
it
the
called?
stigma.
Is there something else we're supposed to call it? But it's mental illness.
Mental deficiency.
Yeah, I'm defective.
Are
no,
you
Defective. There it is.
Are you willing to like be more specific about that right now?
Yeah, for sure. I have. Well, at one point, I was diagnosed with clinical depression, then PTSD, which came with depression and anxiety, and then just recently ADHD, which has actually, once I went on Vyvanse and Wellbutrin, it seems to be that I can sit down and think a lot more clearly. I'm a lot calmer. I don't have as much anxiety anymore. It's not like this constant... when I feel anxiety, it's really in my chest. People will talk about how it like actually feels in your body, and so it's not like this waking up with this really heavy chest and feeling hopeless. And now all of a sudden I'm like, oh, cool, I can actually get through the day, and this is how people maybe feel regularly.
Yeah,
That's pretty cool.
yeah.
Although there is a stigma behind taking a stimulant.
Although there shouldn't be. Like, it's no different than, you know, like you and I, Aaron, wear glasses because we can't see without them. Like, and nobody looks at us and goes, oh, you fucks need glasses. You must suck at life. You know, like, no, nobody thinks that at all.
Yeah, exactly.
It's just a thing that we need so that I don't crash my car
exactly.
when I'm driving.
Yeah.
Like, there shouldn't. There is a stigma, but there shouldn't be.
Right.
There shouldn't be a stigma because it's just, you know, some people need certain things to get through.